On a far-flung mining colony located on the outer rim of a newly discovered star system, disaster strikes without warning. The colony had been thriving as a modest outpost in the vastness of space, mining precious minerals from the planet's core, but that all changes when a nearby supernova triggers a massive solar flare that wreaks havoc on their communication systems and power grid. All at once, the colony plunges into an eerie silence, with no contact from the outside world. Rachel Lawrence, the colony's leader, feels the weight of responsibility on her shoulders as she stands in the operations room staring at the flickering monitors. No signal, no way to call for help, and no word from their sister colonies. They are cut off from everything. She reaches for the intercom and begins speaking to the crew in calm but firm tones, urging them to stay calm and follow standard emergency protocols, even as the panic begins to rise in the rooms around her. The situation grows worse with each passing hour. The mining crew's communications with the surface of the planet are severed, and the colony's power supply begins to fluctuate dangerously. At the same time, the planet's environment shows signs of destabilization. Tremors become more frequent, and a strange atmospheric disturbance begins to appear on the horizon. Rachel watches from the command center as the sky darkens, and the ground begins to rumble beneath them. She feels an unsettling sense of urgency building inside her heart. The immediate priority is clear: restore power to the colony and reestablish communication with the outside world. But there is no easy fix. The equipment is malfunctioning across the board and time is running out. Rachel assembles a small group of trusted engineers and specialists to investigate the core systems. The team scrambles to fix the power grid while Rachel tracks the erratic behavior of the colony's sensor systems on a separate monitor, trying to discern the true nature of the disruption. As they work tirelessly through the night, the team stumbles upon something strange buried deep within the signals, a faint trace of a human-made signal that doesn't belong to any known source. Rachel's eyes widen as she analyzes the data. The signal seems to be coming from a distant location on the other side of the planet. The coordinates are unclear, but one thing is certain: it is unmistakably human-made. The realization hits her hard. Could it be another colony or outpost? Could they have a chance at rescue? The signal is weak, intermittent, and unreliable, but it's there. Rachel can't ignore it. She orders the engineers to continue their work on the power grid, while she gathers a small team of survivors and volunteers to investigate the source of the signal. Against the growing risks of venturing outside in the increasingly hostile conditions, she makes the call to take the chance. This faint glimmer of hope may be their only chance of survival in an otherwise hopeless situation. With a single message flashing across her mind as she makes her decision in an emergency: always head toward or away from the nearest human. Her gut tells her that heading toward this signal may be the best shot they have, and with nothing left to lose, Rachel leads the team into the unknown, hoping against hope that they're not too late to uncover the secrets that lie ahead. Rachel gathers her team in the briefing room as the colony's lights flicker overhead, casting long shadows on the walls, their faces drawn with exhaustion but determination in their eyes. The choice has been made. They will travel to the coordinates of the faint signal despite the dangers of the unknown terrain, the unstable weather conditions, and the growing sense of unease that has settled over the colony. There is no other option. If there's even a chance of finding help, they have to take it. She looks around at her crew. They're a mix of seasoned miners, engineers, and specialists who have been through their fair share of hard times on this remote planet. But this is different. The threat is more than just the land or the unpredictable atmosphere. It's the isolation and the unknown that weighs heavily on them. No one knows what lies ahead, but Rachel's leadership cuts through the uncertainty. She speaks with quiet resolve, reminding them that it's the human spirit that has always seen them through the darkest times. They've survived the harshest conditions before, and they will survive this. Equipped with what they can scrounge together from the colony's remaining resources, the team sets out, leaving behind the relative safety of the base camp. The landscape outside the walls is desolate and rugged. The ground is cracked and uneven, as if the planet itself is in the midst of some violent transformation. The air is thick with dust from the recent tremors, and the sky is a bruised purple color streaked with strange electrical activity. A storm is brewing on the horizon. Rachel leads the way with her second-in-command Aidan Burke, a former soldier, whose calm demeanor and tactical mind she trusts implicitly. They march through the barren landscape, the wind howling around them. As they trek toward the coordinates, the signal that pointed to their path is winding and treacherous with jagged rocks and steep inclines that slow their progress. The storm grows nearer, and they can feel the pressure building in the air. The hair on the back of their necks stands on end as the storm picks up speed. They push on regardless because turning back isn't an option. Not now, when they are so close to a potential lifeline. The team's morale begins to slip, but Rachel keeps them focused, reminding them of the stakes and the possibility that the signal might lead them to something critical, even if it's just a piece of technology to help them restore their own communication systems. It's a chance they can't afford to miss. As the storm intensifies, the team takes shelter under a rocky outcrop, huddling together. For warmth and safety, they pass around what little food they have and wait for the worst of the storm to pass. Rachel finds herself lost in thought, wondering if they're heading straight into a trap or if their hopes are well placed. The uncertainty gnaws at her, but she knows that to stop now would mean giving up, and that's never been an option for her or for humanity, not when there's still a chance to fight. The storm rages through the night, and by morning it begins to clear, leaving the landscape even more alien than before. The team resumes their trek, but the ground beneath their feet is shifting in unpredictable ways. The planet seems to be alive, reacting to their presence in ways that unsettle them. The closer they get to the signal's source, the more the air feels charged and unnatural. It's as if something is waiting for them just beyond the horizon. Rachel steels herself, and the team presses forward, no longer just in search of a signal, but of answers that might mean survival or something far worse. The morning light casts a strange glow over the landscape as Rachel and her team push forward, their steps heavy on the shifting ground. The storm has passed, but the air is thick with an uneasy stillness, as if the planet itself is holding its breath. The signal they've been tracking pulses faintly, an electronic hum just on the edge of hearing, guiding them like a distant lighthouse. The terrain grows more treacherous with each step, as if the planet is deliberately trying to slow them down. Jagged rocks jut out from the earth, and the once familiar terrain now seems alien, twisted, and unnatural. But they press on, driven by the faint hope that there's something, or someone, waiting at the end of this journey. Rachel leads the way, Aidan close behind, scanning the horizon for any signs of danger. The rest of the team follows, each person focused on putting one foot in front of the other, trying to ignore the creeping sense of dread that has begun to settle over them. The faint electronic hum of the signal grows louder, but still, they see no signs of what lies ahead. The ground beneath them seems to tremble, a low vibration that they feel in their bones. Rachel glances over her shoulder at her team, noting the nervous glances and weary expressions. She can feel their resolve beginning to waver, and she knows that she must keep them focused. They're getting closer. Then, as they crest a hill, the ground opens up before them. The landscape suddenly changes. An enormous structure rises in the distance, half buried beneath the shifting sands. It looks like nothing they've ever seen before, an intricate web of metal and stone, twisted in a way that suggests something much older than anything humans have built. The signal is now loud and clear, emanating from deep within the structure. There's no mistaking it. This is the source they've been searching for. The team slows as they approach, the enormity of the structure looming over them like a forgotten monument to something long lost. It's both beautiful and terrifying, its surfaces covered in strange markings that seem to glow faintly in the dim light. The air around it feels thick, almost electric, and Rachel feels a shiver run down her spine. She orders the team to stay alert. There's something about this place that feels off, like it's waiting for them, or worse, testing them. As they move closer, the faint hum of the signal intensifies. The structure seems to pulse in response, as if acknowledging their presence. It's an eerie sensation, like the building itself is alive, reacting to their every move. Rachel takes a deep breath and leads her team toward the entrance, which is partially obscured by overgrown vines that look like they've been there for centuries. There's no sign of any recent activity, but the sense of being watched is undeniable. They step cautiously into the entrance, their footsteps echoing in the vast emptiness beyond. Inside, the atmosphere is cool and dry, the air tingling with the remnants of something powerful. The walls are lined with intricate carvings, some of which seem to move and shift when they're not looking directly at them. It's unlike anything Rachel has ever seen. She can feel the weight of history in every step, as if they've stumbled upon a place where time itself has been suspended. The signal is strongest now, guiding them deeper into the heart of the structure. They follow it, but the deeper they go, the more the air seems to thrum with energy, and Rachel can feel her pulse quickening. She doesn't know what they're about to find, but it's clear that whatever it is, it's not just a piece of technology. It's something far more important, and perhaps far more dangerous. Aiden steps forward, reaching for the strange device embedded in the wall. It hums in response, and a door slides open, revealing a vast chamber filled with light. The walls are covered in intricate symbols, but in the center of the room lies something more startling. A human-shaped figure, frozen in what looks like suspended animation. It's unlike any human they've ever seen. Its features are strange, alien even, but there's no mistaking it. This is human, and it's been here a long time. Rachel's breath catches in her throat as she steps closer. The figure seems to be waiting, as if it's expecting them, as if it's been waiting for centuries for someone to find it. And then, as if in answer to her thoughts, a voice echoes through the chamber. It's not audible, but Rachel feels it in her mind, clear and undeniable. You have come. Welcome home. The voice reverberates through Rachel's mind, not in words, but as a deep, resonating presence that feels both ancient and alive. It's as though the voice is coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. Her heart races as she steps back, unsure whether to trust what's happening. The team freezes, their eyes wide, some reaching for weapons, others unsure what to make of the situation. Aiden shifts uneasily beside her, his hand on his sidearm, ready to react to whatever comes next. The figure in the center of the chamber remains still, suspended in some kind of force field, its humanoid form glowing faintly in the dim light of the room. The air around it hums with an energy that seems almost tangible, vibrating with an eerie power. Rachel's mind races, trying to process the flood of emotions and questions that surge through her. What was this place? Who or what was the figure before her? And how was this possible? She hadn't expected to find anything. Certainly not something like this. Without thinking, she steps closer to the figure, her steps hesitant but driven by an overwhelming need to understand. The voice comes again, clear this time, echoing in her mind with a quiet urgency. The time has come. You have been chosen. Rachel's pulse quickens as she tries to make sense of the message. Chosen for what? She glances at Aiden, who meets her gaze with a mixture of concern and awe. The rest of the team huddles together, whispering in hushed tones, exchanging uncertain looks. No one dares to move, as though the room itself is holding its breath. As Rachel moves closer, she notices something strange. The walls around her begin to shift, the markings glowing brighter, their symbols rearranging themselves as though reacting to her presence. They seem to form patterns, like a language she can almost understand, like her mind is being opened to something beyond her comprehension. Her eyes scan the room, drawn to a panel embedded in the floor near the figure. It's different from everything else, marked with a set of symbols she recognizes from the ancient archive they'd uncovered back at the research station. A chill runs through her as she kneels before it, her fingers brushing against the surface. It's cold, almost impossibly so, and she feels a shock of energy run through her, almost like an electric current. The symbols on the panel begin to glow, and the entire chamber responds, the air crackling with the sudden buildup of power. The figure before them seems to stir, its once stiff posture shifting, as if coming to life. Rachel's heart pounds in her chest, her mind racing with the realization that they've just triggered something. But what? Before she can react, the figure's eyes open. Or at least, they appear to, glowing faintly with an ethereal light. And though its form is humanoid, there is something otherworldly about it. The light in its eyes seems to pierce through her, as if it's looking into her very soul. The voice returns, this time not just in her mind, but almost as though it's spoken aloud, reverberating around the chamber. You have awakened the Guardian. Rachel feels a cold shiver run down her spine. Guardian? The words hang in the air, heavy with meaning, but she's unsure whether the message is a warning or an invitation. The figure before them steps forward, its movements fluid despite the centuries of stillness. It stands, towering above them, and Rachel can't help but feel the weight of its presence, the deep knowledge it carries. Aiden speaks up, his voice cautious but firm. What are you? What is this place? The figure doesn't answer directly, but it raises one arm, pointing toward the far wall of the chamber. There, etched into the stone, is a massive depiction of an alien star map, lines, circles, and constellations that match no known chart Rachel has ever seen. But the strange part is the symbol at the center, a circle with lines radiating outward, encompassing planets and stars in a way that seems almost deliberate, purposeful. Rachel's eyes widen as she recognizes something. One of the stars on the map is their own sun, their own system. And in the center of the symbol, there's a human-like figure, identical to the one before them. Humanity, the Guardian speaks again, its voice deep and resonant, is at the center of the great cycle. You are the key. The time of reckoning approaches. You must decide. Rachel doesn't understand, but the weight of the words presses down on her. The signals, the ancient ruins, the technology, it's all been leading to this moment. Whatever choice they make here will echo across the galaxy. There's no going back now. Decide what? Rachel's voice trembles despite her resolve, but the Guardian doesn't answer. Instead, the chamber begins to shake, the walls around them glowing brighter as the ground beneath them trembles with increasing intensity. The Guardian steps back, its eyes locking onto Rachel, its voice ringing out in her mind. Decide quickly. The reckoning has already begun. The chamber pulses with energy, the ground beneath their feet vibrating as if responding to the Guardian's words. Rachel feels the weight of the room pressing in on her, the air thick with anticipation. The symbols on the walls glow brighter, their shapes shifting and changing in a rhythm that feels almost like breathing. The Guardian's figure looms before them, its eyes now focused solely on Rachel, as if waiting for her to understand something she has yet to grasp. Aiden steps closer, his voice low, almost urgent. What does it mean? What reckoning? His words hang in the air, unanswered, as if the figure is choosing to let them linger in the uncertainty. Rachel can feel the tension in the room thickening. Her mind races to process everything. The signal, the ancient technology, the Guardian's cryptic words, but nothing fits together. There's no clear path, no explanation for what's unfolding before them. She takes a deep breath, forcing herself to focus. We need to figure this out. Whatever this reckoning is, it's tied to us, to humanity. But we don't have the luxury of time anymore. We have to act. The Guardian's glowing eyes never leave her as she speaks. A cold wave of realization washes over her. They've been waiting for us. For this moment. She can't shake the feeling that whatever they do next could either seal humanity's fate or give them a chance at survival. The vibrations in the chamber grow stronger, and the once steady hum of energy intensifies, now bordering on a loud, deafening pulse. The room seems to shimmer with the force of it, and Rachel instinctively steps back, signaling for the others to do the same. There's something happening here, something big, and she can't afford to let it overwhelm her. She feels the weight of their situation press down on her, the lives of her team, the survival of the colony, all resting on the decisions she makes now. We need to understand what's at stake, she says firmly, but inside, doubt gnaws at her. She doesn't know what she's dealing with, only that this moment feels like the culmination of everything they've endured since the signal first appeared. The ancient ruins, the abandoned research station, the technology they'd uncovered. It all points here, to this chamber, to this guardian, and to the unknown reckoning it speaks of. It's as if everything was leading them to this decision. But the question remains, what decision? The guardian's form shifts again, moving fluidly as if it's not bound by the laws of physics, and with a sweeping gesture, it points once more to the star map on the wall. This time, the symbols begin to glow more intensely, and the map shifts, revealing a new constellation. A bright, burning star at the center, radiating outward. The map grows larger, enveloping the room with its energy. The image seems to pulsate, as if alive, and the lines trace the path from one star system to another, all converging on a single point. This, the Guardian's voice rings through her mind, is the cycle. Humanity stands at the center. The reckoning approaches, and the choices are yours. You may face the coming storm alone, or you may choose to unite with others who have already felt its pull. The galaxy is at a crossroads, and so are you. Rachel takes a step forward, her mind whirling. What does that mean? Unite with others. Who? The Guardian's eyes flash brightly, and the symbols around them seem to intensify in response to her words. You are not alone. Others like you have been chosen, though they may not know it yet. The cycle is in motion, and those who understand it will rise to lead. The question is not whether you will fight, but how. Rachel's heart skips a beat. The weight of the situation sinks in. This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about something much larger, something that spans across galaxies, cultures, and histories. The reckoning the Guardian speaks of isn't just an external threat. It's a test for humanity itself, a test of how they will respond to what is coming. The galaxy is changing, and humanity's place in it is uncertain. Her mind races as she looks back at her team, their faces filled with uncertainty and fear. They don't understand any more than she does, but one thing is clear. The choices they make here will shape the future of humanity. The reckoning is coming, and they must decide what part they will play in it. The weight of the Guardian's words settles heavily on Rachel's shoulders. She can feel the pressure mounting with every passing second, the sense of urgency growing sharper. The hum of energy in the room seems to resonate within her chest now, a constant reminder that time is not on their side. She glances at her team, their faces a mix of confusion, fear, and anticipation. They are all waiting for her to make sense of it, but she can't shake the feeling that she's not in control of this situation. Not entirely. Aiden steps forward, his voice steady but urgent. We don't have time to stand here and guess what this means. If there are others, if this reckoning is something we're all facing, then we need to know how to fight it. We can't just sit back and wait for it to hit us. Rachel meets his gaze, her mind racing. He's right, of course. They can't afford to be passive in the face of an unknown threat. But what the Guardian has shown them, this ancient star map, the hints of a galaxy-spanning conflict, it's overwhelming. She feels like she's missing a crucial piece of the puzzle, something that would tie everything together and give her the clarity she needs to act. The Guardian's form shifts again, its presence growing more intense. The glow from its eyes seems to burn brighter, its movements fluid and deliberate. You are right, it says, its voice resonating within her mind. The reckoning is not a singular event. It is a war of ideologies, of power, of survival. Those who understand the cycle will fight to preserve the balance, while those who do not will fall. You must decide what side you will stand on. Rachel swallows hard, the weight of the decision crashing down on her. And what happens if we fail? She asks, her voice barely above a whisper. What if humanity doesn't make the right choice? The Guardian remains silent for a moment, and for the first time, Rachel feels a flicker of hesitation emanating from the figure. The energy in the room shifts, the hum growing softer, as if the Guardian itself is considering her words. The cycle will continue, It finally says, its tone unreadable. But humanity's place in it will be uncertain. You will face extinction, or you will rise. There is no middle ground. You must embrace your strength, your adaptability. It is what has allowed you to survive this long. Rachel's mind reels. The implications of the Guardian's words are staggering. Extinction. Rise. Those are the stakes. This isn't just about surviving a single crisis or fending off a hostile alien force. It's about humanity's place in the grand scheme of the universe, about their ability to rise above their flaws and evolve into something greater. She glances at Aiden again, seeing the same question reflected in his eyes. What are we supposed to do with this? I don't understand, Rachel admits, the frustration clear in her voice. We don't know what this reckoning is. We don't know what you want from us. All we have is a map and a choice. The Guardian's form flickers, and then its voice answers, no longer in her mind, but in the air itself, the words carrying weight and finality. You are the key. The reckoning will come to pass whether you are ready or not. The question is not whether you can stop it. The question is whether you can shape it. Rachel feels a deep sense of foreboding as the room seems to shrink around her. The Guardian's words echo in her mind, repeating over and over, shape it. She doesn't know what that means. How can they shape something so vast, so incomprehensible? The very notion seems beyond them. They're just a small group of survivors, stranded on a remote colony with no understanding of the forces at play in the galaxy. But then she remembers the archive they'd uncovered back at the research station, the ancient logs, the records of a long-lost human civilization that had faced a similar reckoning. The records had spoken of unity, of alliances forged across star systems, of the strength found in humanity's ability to adapt and overcome. The technology they'd found, the alien relics, it wasn't just about weapons or survival. It was about understanding the cycle, the pattern of history, and using that knowledge to change the future. Rachel takes a deep breath, her mind snapping into focus. We need to find others. We need to unite. We can't face this alone. The realization is crystal clear now. The cycle is about more than just their survival. It's about leading humanity into something greater, into a future where they aren't just fighting for survival, but for a place in the galaxy itself. The Guardian's eyes flicker once more, and its voice resounds in the chamber, now more urgent than before. Time is running out. You must act. The reckoning begins. The weight of the Guardian's words settles heavily on Rachel as she stands in the heart of the chamber, her mind racing with the implications of what it has just revealed. Time is running out, and the reckoning is no longer some distant threat. It's here, now, and whatever choice they make in this moment will determine not just their survival, but the fate of humanity. She turns to Aiden, his face pale but resolute. We have to move quickly. We need to find those other human colonies, those who have been chosen. If we're going to face this, we need an alliance. We can't do this alone. Aiden nods, though his eyes betray the uncertainty they both feel. But where do we even start? We've been cut off from everyone for weeks, and we don't know who or what's out there. If there are other humans who've been chosen, they could be scattered across the galaxy, hiding, preparing, or worse. Rachel takes a deep breath. We start by finding a way to communicate with them. We need to figure out how this map works. The Guardian said we were the key. Maybe it's not just about uniting with other colonies. Maybe it's about activating something, unlocking the cycle. Whatever it is, we can't afford to wait any longer. She turns back toward the star map, her fingers brushing against the glowing lines and symbols etched into the stone. As her hand moves, the map shifts again. And for a brief moment, she sees an image flash in her mind. Flashes of light, of ships traveling through the vast reaches of space, of alien worlds and unknown civilizations. And at the center of it all, a pulsating, radiant symbol, the same one that had appeared earlier, the one that had been linked to humanity's place in the galaxy. The Guardian speaks once more, its voice calm but filled with urgency. The cycle is beginning. You have no more time to hesitate. The others are out there, waiting for the call. If you do not act now, you will be swept away by the coming storm. Rachel's heart races, but the words from the Guardian are clear. There's no more time for doubt, no more time for second-guessing. She has to act, and she has to act fast. Aiden, she says, turning to him, her voice steady but laced with determination. We need to find the source of this signal. We need to figure out how to send it out across the galaxy. We can't just wait for someone to find us. We need to be the ones reaching out. Aiden looks back at her, a spark of determination in his eyes. I'll start working on the communication systems. If there's a way to reach the others, we'll find it. Rachel nods and turns back to the team. They're all here, every one of them ready to fight, to find a way to survive, and to ensure humanity's place in the cycle. It's clear now that this isn't just about stopping some external threat. It's about something far larger. The reckoning is a test, a trial, and their choice will shape the future of their species. She gives one last glance to the Guardian, its glowing form still standing watch over them, silent but present. You said we're the key, she says, her voice steady. But you never told us what we have to do with it. The Guardian's gaze locks with hers. You are not just the key, you are the decision. The cycle turns on the choices you make, and once that decision is made, there is no turning back. Rachel feels a chill creep down her spine. The finality in the Guardian's tone is impossible to ignore. Whatever they choose, whatever path they take, there is no going back. The reckoning will happen, and humanity's place in it will be determined by what happens next. Aiden finishes his adjustments on the communication equipment, and the hum of the system fills the room. He looks over at Rachel, a determined look on his face. We're ready. Rachel's heart beats faster. This is it. They're about to send out a signal that will either bring them the help they desperately need or push them further into the unknown. She steps forward and presses the button to initiate the transmission. The lights in the chamber flicker, and the map on the wall shifts again, its symbol swirling as the signal is sent out into the vastness of space. For a moment, everything is still. The hum of the machinery quiets. The air is thick with the weight of anticipation. Then the voice of the Guardian fills the room once more, deep and resonant, but now tinged with something different: hope. You have made your choice. The cycle is set in motion. The reckoning will come. Rachel exhales slowly, a sense of finality settling over her. The signal is out there now. Whatever happens next is beyond her control. She can only wait and hope that humanity will rise to face the storm ahead. The chamber falls silent, the heavy hum of the equipment now replaced by an eerie stillness. Rachel stands frozen, staring at the wall where the map of stars once glowed with life, now dimming as the transmission pulses out into the void. Her fingers tremble as she grips the edge of the control panel, the weight of the decision still heavy in her chest. She has done everything she can. Sent the signal, made the choice, but the uncertainty of what comes next grips her with unrelenting force. Aiden steps forward, his voice breaking the silence. It's done. The signal's out there. Now we wait. Rachel turns to him, her mind racing. But for how long? What if it's too late? What if we've missed our chance? She knows they've sent the signal, but she can't shake the gnawing feeling that the reckoning is already in motion, that they're already too far behind to catch up. Aiden places a reassuring hand on her shoulder, though she can feel the same fear and uncertainty in his grip. We've done everything we can. We can't control the timing of what happens next. All we can do now is wait and prepare. The rest of the team gathers around, their expressions a mix of anticipation and dread. The realization is beginning to settle in. They are no longer just survivors trying to make it through another day. They have now set something much larger in motion, and the future is hanging in the balance. There is no going back. Rachel nods, trying to steady her breath, but even as she does, the room seems to vibrate with the anticipation of what's to come. Her mind drifts to the words of the Guardian. You are the decision. What had the Guardian meant by that? What power did they truly have to shape the cycle? Could humanity even rise to meet the challenge of what was coming? The more she thinks about it, the less certain she feels. And then, just as she's about to speak, there's a sudden flash of light. It's so bright, so intense, that for a moment, Rachel can't see anything but white. She instinctively shields her eyes, her heart racing as the light floods the chamber. When the brilliance fades, she blinks rapidly, trying to adjust to the sudden change. For a moment, everything is still. And then, from the shadows at the far end of the room, a figure emerges. It's human, or at least, it looks human. But there's something distinctly different about this person, something that marks them as not quite like the crew standing around Rachel. The figure moves toward them with a purposeful stride, its presence commanding attention. As it draws closer, Rachel's heart skips a beat. There's no mistaking it. The person before her radiates the same aura she felt in the Guardian. They're connected. They're here because of the signal. The figure speaks, its voice smooth, almost musical, with an accent that seems alien but somehow familiar. You have answered the call. Rachel takes a step back, still processing the shock of this unexpected arrival. The team behind her is frozen, unsure whether to approach or retreat. The figure smiles, almost as though it understands their confusion. I am Lyra, the figure continues, and I represent those who were chosen to answer the cycle. We have felt the pull of the signal you sent, and we have come to offer you a choice. The words hang in the air, pregnant with meaning. Rachel's pulse quickens. A choice. This wasn't over after all. This was just the beginning. What choice? Lyra's gaze locks onto hers, and for a moment, Rachel feels as though the weight of 1,000 lives rests on her shoulders. You stand at the crossroads of humanity's future. The reckoning is here, but it is not only a battle of survival. It is a battle for what you will become. Will you fight to protect what is, or will you join us and shape what will be? Rachel's mind races, trying to process what she's hearing. This isn't just about survival anymore. This is about the future of humanity. Its place in the galaxy, its potential to evolve, to unite with other forces that have been waiting for this moment. She doesn't have all the answers, but in this moment, she feels a surge of something powerful. The future is within their reach. It's up to them to decide whether they will rise to meet it or fade into the past. Will we join you? Rachel asks, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions swirling within her. What happens if we do? Lyra's smile deepens, a hint of pride in their expression. If you join us, you will not stand alone. The cycle will not be a battle of isolation. You will find strength in unity, in those who have chosen to fight for something greater. Together, we will face the reckoning and shape the future. But the choice is yours. Rachel looks at her team, seeing the same determination in their eyes that she feels in her own heart. This is their moment. They have made it this far. Now they must choose whether to take the next step into the unknown or remain in the shadows of the past. With a deep breath, Rachel turns back to Lyra. We will join you. And with that decision, the cycle begins anew.